All right, people. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how Vocabulary Synapse works and how you should use it. Vocabulary Synapse is Voramethod's proprietary vocabulary learning tool. There is nothing else in the world that is anywhere close to this, but you have to understand how to use it, because if you use it incorrectly, then honestly, it's just not really any different from the sort of the common man's vocabulary software. All right, let's get to this. So I'm going to walk you through all the steps. We got a vocabulary synapse. Now, you immediately start with two choices. You got censored and you have uncensored. Now, listen, if you're in high school, use uncensored. If you're not in high school, use censored. If you're, if you have, a very kind of traditional religious upbringing, use censored. I mean, just use your judgment. This is not like all that difficult a choice to make. And just to make this inclusive, I'm going to go ahead and choose censored. Now, what you're going to notice when you play Vocabulary Synapse is that you literally won't know the words. I mean, like, I don't know what none of these words, you're like, what am I supposed to do with these words? That's the point. Vocabulary Synapse begins with a phase of something like adaptation. Not exactly, that's a little bit different. But in this initial phase, it's going to be showing you words that you realistically probably don't know. And so what are you going to do? You're going to click something. Okay, well, actually, I clicked the correct thing. I got to fight against my own. I have to fight against my own instincts here. Let's try that again on this one. So let's say you look at these, and this time I'm going to intentionally pick something wrong. Now notice my score becomes 0. Now if I pick something else wrong, again, I'm going to get a negative score. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is Vocabulary Synapse is making a decision. It's trying to say, like, does the user kind of know what it means or not really know, or does the user have just no idea? And if you have absolutely no idea what it means, that word's going to come up more often. And that's what we want. We want the words that you don't know to come up more often. The idea of Vocabulary Synapse is it looks at how the brain actually works. And as you've experienced in your own life, there's some words that kind of come to you naturally, and there's some words that don't come naturally to you at all. And what Vocabulary Synapse is going to do is going to adjust that. It's going to see if a word really doesn't come naturally to you, it's going to repeat it a lot in many different ways. If you get a word on your first or second try, it's not going to repeat it as often. That's the first phase of adaptation. Now, the next phase of adaptation is after it started putting words into your mind in this sort of like very intensive way, it's going to start spreading out how often those same words appear. The goal of that is to make it go into your long-term memory. Now, in order for Vocabulary Synapse to do all that, it needs time. And so I recommend that you see how the score right now is -1? I recommend, let's actually go ahead and get this one right. I recommend that you get a score of 100 points or higher. If you stop at say 10 points, then you're just looking at some words. You're not really getting the benefits of this incredibly powerful software. You've got to get to 100. Not 10, not 2, not 3, not 11, not 15 and a half, 100. You want to go higher than 100, that's fine. Now here's something you'll notice. At first, it's like really hard just to get to 10 points. All right. And again, let me go ahead and do this one wrong. Let's say this is a word root. Let's say I get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong on purpose a couple times. Then this is going to start to think, man, Arvin has no idea what this word root means. And so knowing that, it's going to bring up that word more often. And as I start to get it right over time, it's going to spread it out longer with bigger and bigger intervals. And that's critical. You've got to go through that full phase. Otherwise, why bother with the Vocabulary Synapse? Just like grab a dictionary and just skim through words you don't know. But if you get to 100, here's what the experience is going to be like, right? When you first start, getting up to 10 is going to be just grueling. Guess what? Getting from 0 to 10, that's the amount of work it's going to take you to get from 10 to 50. In other words, getting to 100 is not 10 times as hard as getting to 10. It's like 2 or 3 times as hard as getting to 10. Does that make some sense? You've really got to push to 100. Now, how often should you do it? You should do it every day. Now you might say, where am I supposed to do it? I don't care where you don't have to sit at a computer. You got Slack on your cell phone. Use it in the car. use it in the shower. I don't care. Use it at dinner. Use it in the middle of some pointless nonsense class in your school that's wasting your time. Do vocabulary synapse instead. But if you get 100 points every day, your vocabulary is going to massively improve. Now, when you want to improve your reading skills, one thing you need to do is you have to build your vocabulary, but you also have to build something else called your concept map. That means the things that you know about. Vocabulary synapse is not just going to build your vocabulary. It's going to build your concept map. Now it's going to do one more important thing, and that's going to build what we call a kernel. That means it's going to build kind of like the vocabulary synapse, by the way, only has about 1,100 words, something like that. But those are the key words that you can build the rest of English vocabulary onto. Does that make sense? In other words, this is forming the base, and then basically every other word you ever see is going to easily attach to your mind because you've built a nice map, a nice concept map while building vocabulary. This is a great example. This is a question that introduces an idea. The vocab word is an idea, and so again, you want to make sure that you're really getting to 100 points a day. Anyway, that's the gist of vocabulary synapse. That's how you use vocabulary synapse. If you find yourself getting stuck, like you don't really know what to do with vocabulary synapse, feel free to send me an email. But remember, at first you will have no idea what the words mean at all. Over time, your brain is going to adapt, but that means you got to get to 100 points every single day, including holidays, including weekends, including Christmas, including Mother's Day, including your birthday, every day. And that's where you're going to get the growth in your vocabulary and your concept map while building a kernel of vocabulary that's going to make all other vocabulary learning for the rest of your life easier, smoother, faster, and more efficient.